All right, let's dive right in. We're about to unpack a story that spans a staggering 500,000 years. It's got everything: warring cosmic families, a vast genetic experiment, and humanity. Well, we're right at the center of it all. This is the incredible saga laid out in the book Inanna Returns.
So right off the bat, the book's narrator, Innana, hits you with this line, and man, does it set the stage. The beings who created us, they weren't gods in the way we usually think of them. They were ancient, they were powerful, and let's just say they were deeply, deeply flawed.
So who are these beings? According to the book, they are the Anunnaki. And you can pretty much think of them as this powerful and, frankly, totally dysfunctional family of Pleiadians. They didn't show up on Earth to enlighten us, no. They came here for a very specific and very material reason. And trust me, this cast of characters, it reads just like a cosmic soap opera. You've got Anu, the head honcho, then his two sons, Enlil, the rigid by-the-book heir, and Enki, the brilliant scientist who's kinda pro-human. We also have Ninhursag, the master geneticist, our main villain Marduk, and of course our narrator, Innana, who's Anu's great-granddaughter. Now get this, their home, Nibiru, isn't even a natural planet. It's described as this gigantic artificial world chip that swings through our solar system every 3,600 years. And its main purpose? It's basically a massive planet-sized mining ship. They needed one thing from our little planet Earth, gold, and they needed it to save their own failing atmosphere. At the heart of all this drama, you've got this epic rivalry between the two half-brothers, Enlil and Enki. I mean, they are total polar opposites. Enlil is the commander who's loyal only to Nibiru and the mission. Enki, on the other hand, he's the creative scientist who ends up developing a real soft spot for Earth and for us, his creations. This rivalry, it literally shapes human history.
So you're probably wondering, how does a family feud on a spaceship lead to, us? Well, it all started when the Anunnaki astronauts who were doing the actual gold mining got fed up. They basically went on strike. They refused to do the backbreaking labor anymore, and the family needed a new workforce, and they needed it fast.
So Enki, the scientist, and Ninhursag, the geneticist, they come up with this wild solution. Here's how it went down. They gathered genetic material from an early hominid, Homo erectus. They fused that with their own Pleiadian DNA, and voila, they created a new species, the Lulus, the very first humans. But, and this is a huge but, they purposefully left our most important divine genes unplugged.
And this right here is the absolute core of the problem. Humanity was literally engineered to be a slave race. We were designed to be smart enough to follow orders and operate their machines, but not self-aware enough to question them, or to tap into our own incredible latent power. Our full potential was locked away on purpose.
So this built-in genetic limitation, it creates a massive power vacuum. And guess who steps right in to fill it? Enki's son, Marduk. He totally exploits this weakness in our design to seize control of the entire planet, and he becomes the ultimate obstacle to human freedom. And Marduk's playbook for control is just, wow, it's methodical. First, he rewrites all of history, starring himself, of course, as the one and only creator god. He actively suppresses feminine energy and goddesses. He encourages fear, which the book says he literally feeds on as an energy source. And get this, in a twist that feels weirdly modern, he installs an altar in every single home, the television. Its job? To keep humanity distracted and docile.
Which leads to the million-dollar question, right? How do you fix a mistake of this magnitude, a mess that you yourself created? They limited humanity, which allowed a tyrant like Marduk to rise to power. How in the world could they possibly set things right?
Well, the answer they come up with is pretty radical. See, they realize they can't interfere from the outside anymore, so they hatch this plan to fix the whole system from the inside. This is what the book calls the divine descent.
But what's their motivation all of a sudden? Well, it turns out they got a taste of their own medicine. For breaking some serious intergalactic laws, the Anunnaki get surrounded by a frequency wall. Think of it like a cosmic quarantine. And suddenly, they stop evolving. They are trapped. They realize their own liberation is now completely tied to ours.
So what's the big plan? Incarnation. Innana, along with other members of her family, chooses to be born as a human. The whole idea is to get inside the very system they created and to activate that dormant divine gene from within, hoping it will trigger a mass awakening and remind humanity just how powerful it really is. Okay, so this entire 500,000-year saga, it's all building towards one final prophesied event here on planet Earth. The book describes a coming fork in the road, what it calls the Great Separation, where humanity itself has to choose its own future.
And it gets specific. The book, which was actually written way back in 1995, pinpoints the year 2012 as the start of this dimensional split for Earth, the moment when this choice becomes critical for everyone.
The book lays out two completely different paths forward. On one side, you have a fourth dimension Terra, a world built on self-creation and personal responsibility, where people know they create their reality. On the other path, you can stay in Marduk's Terra, a reality of control, fear, and servitude. But here's the kicker. The book says it isn't a judgment. It's simply an individual choice, a matter of which frequency you decide to tune into.
And that really is the book's final powerful message. This isn't just an ancient history lesson, it's a call to action. It frames our creators not as gods to be worshipped, but as flawed ancestors who have returned to give back what was taken from us, our own sovereignty and the power that lies waiting in our genes. Now that is a heck of a thought to end on.